Hey there guys, this is Obsidian Chill. Got another video for you today. This is a continuation of my test server videos on the Batman Metal Part 1 DLC that's coming out September 12th. This is going to be touching on the open world aspect of it, as well as some of the missions previews, the bounty previews, the weekly bounties, or the weekly kind of missions previews. So essentially, you go to Metal Gotham City. You saw where it was the teleporter. The first kind of aspect, I know I've kind of repeated myself the last two videos in terms of recycled maps, but once again, this will look really familiar because it's Earth 3. It could be all of Earth 3. I'm not sure if they mixed in parts of Gotham, because obviously the area is flipped, so we're used to being on the other side of the map, which you'll see later in the video. But I know it's all of Earth 3. I'm just not sure if they kind of cut in parts of Gotham City as well, but I'm pretty sure it's just all of Earth 3. The DLC map, and then they obviously made the sky dark because Earth 3 was light. But as far as I can see, really in the sky, it's just like taking place at night. But this is the first mission you have to do when you transport there. You don't have the open missions yet. This is kind of like the introductory mission. So going through here, and then once the cutscene loads, I'll be repeating myself by saying that the content looks quite familiar. And now we're in the Harley duo that you'll remember. I'm not sure if they used it. I'm sure they used it other places too. I just remember it right away from the Harley duo fighting this hallway. It's kind of like doing the Harley duo backwards, and then obviously the main room. So you're just fighting the metal. Basically, it's the exact same NPCs. They're just kind of metalized, which I guess it pretty just looks like a liquid material. So I'm not even sure if we're going to get like a metal material when it comes out in terms of a time capsule release or something, or on the vendor, because it looks pretty similar to a liquid material. So essentially you're just fighting your way through all these bunch of ads, and as you get there, so kind of, since most of this is just, there's not really much to it, you're just kind of doing the missions, and then I'll talk about once we're done this part. I do kind of have a couple talking points for the video that's kind of come up. So the first talking point I'll kind of get into. The issue right now on test server, and why, like, I wish I could have like both raid videos out to you and like both elite videos, and this video should have been out like 2 days ago. It's just after they patched the bow into dual pistol weapon mastery, test server completely like died. Like everyone was farming test server like the first few days, just spamming that. They're shouting for raids nonstop. Everyone was doing raids, alerts, and everything. But you know, I'm hopping on Saturday night, like around between 6 and 8 basically Eastern. You know, you think like Saturday night it'd be pretty, you know, not a popular time, but enough people be on test, because it's like, you know, obviously you're done work, you're not doing it, you're just at home, and it's a long week. Well, I'm in Canada, so it's a long weekend for me. I don't know if Labor Day would Monday, September, was that the 2nd, applies to everyone else here, but in Canada it's all long weekend. So yeah, I figured Saturday night that people on test, I popped on because I was trying to get like an actual bounty kill example. I'm shouting in server chat, dead. You know, I don't see anyone like the watchtower besides like the one or two people that just duel, because you know that's what they do on test server when a new DLC's out. They just duel. Didn't see anyone in Batman Metal open world at all, but it seems like once that dual pistols exploit was fixed, it just dropped off. Like people just wanted to like have fun with the weapon combo and exploit the shit out of it, and you know, finish the raids in like 10 minutes because they're doing like, you know, 3 million damage. And then after that, they didn't care. So it's been a real struggle, which is really a primary. It's not really a primary. It's an underlying issue with the DCUO test server, because all these episodes come out, they're really popular for like the first few days, and then after that, that's it. I mean, like the last DLC, like Justice League Dark, it was the only raid group that we had running elite raids was myself and Platts. Like Platts was getting groups together each night and trying to do elite raids and such. I think a few other groups did it, but they're like, you know, the hodgepodge of roles, and people just, you know, like I said in the previous video, they're like, oh, I've never tanked before, so now I'm going to try tanking elite. So obviously those raids aren't going to go anywhere. So it's just really hard to try to test things, because you need to get into the content where, you know, yesterday I was on test server just because I was messing around with the artifacts and some different power sets parsing wise. And I queued myself up for the alert because I was like, whatever, I'll do the alert because I'm not expecting to get a raid. I was sitting in the alert queue for at least 3 hours without, and that's with like server chat barely moving. So I'm not expecting a bunch of people to be on test. I know it's the issue that PS players can't be on test because that'll just never happen with in terms of how it works. This is the area that I was talking about. Sorry to sidetrack, but with the Harley duo, this is what immediately kind of triggers that, where it's just this big open room. This is where you fought Harley. So it seems like a whole dog pile of ads. You'll see a funny part at the end, but this opening introductory mission or whatever is just like huge pile of ads for whatever reason. But yeah, going back to it is like, I know I'm not expecting like a huge population on test server because it can only be PC players, but I'm still expecting like when a DLC comes out and everyone complains about the difficulty or complains about content or bugs or whatever, it's like, well, I mean, like, what do you expect? It's like the only person going for like little bugs is always like Penren. I know you probably don't know who that is, but like I'm not going through and like checking for little bugs and like graphic bugs or on the screen or style bugs or anything like that. I don't care about that. I'm focusing on like the difficulty tuning, and even that, it's like you have to you basically you provide your feedback, they make their changes, then you have to run everything again. So it's like if they tweak the alert, it's like, well, now I have to run the alert again. And here's the funny part here. Like I could have like exited out the portal in the back, but I thought I had to complete this. So I'm like, oh my god, there's a shitload of red dots here. So I run past them and I'm like, oh, I'll just fight them all. And then I realize that I'm water and like doing terrible damage. So I have like at least like 30 ads here. That for whatever reason, there's 30 ads at this door. And I just get completely destroyed. So I have no idea why that was there. I could have taken the portal like way back, but for whatever reason, I decided to go through to the end. I think I just wanted to see like it said like when I rescued Gordon, it said like exit the annex, and then it said like continue. So I was like, okay, I'll try to continue and see what happens. And then I just get like running into dog piles of ads. I was like, well, I'm not sure if this is intended or not. So then I just exited the police annex and then went back to the start. So we'll kind of get back to it here. That was pretty much what I want to say about the first talking point. It's a shame that the test population is so low and the quality test server population is even lower. Like, it's really hard. Like, if you want to get like consistent elite runs in, you have to bring like your friends from live server, and then you have to work around their schedule. And then we got like this double mark weekend. So they're running a double mark weekend at the same time we're supposed to be testing stuff. So it's like already like the devs are shooting themselves in the foot. So this is the open area. We've got Captain Hightower. You talk to him. Then he opens up basically all the officers. Not the officers, but basically all the missions there. Killer Croc. Which one was this one? I don't think this was the bounty. Yeah, it was. So this is the kill count mission. And you saw defeat people afflicted with the metal virus. So same thing. You just got to kill. A kill counterfeit. It was at 323. Recover metal shipments. That was a daily mission. Hal Jordan. That is basically, you'll see a later clip of it as well. It's kind of like, think of it like the what is it? Not the artifact treasure from Atlantis. You had to get 100 of them. Same similar concept. Yeah. So I was just going through it here. We'll just hide all that. But yeah, essentially, what is it? You get 3 weekly bounties of 8 marks. So one was the kill count mission, one was kill the actual bounty, and then the third one was do those portals that you'll see once I get it. It takes an exotic container. You have to get 144 of those portals, which you'll see kind of throughout. And then was that 2 or 3 daily missions? The bounty one was Robin. He's on the top kind of catwalk. I didn't do him in this clip. I do have him later in the clip so you can actually see it. But essentially now, what I actually should have done was taken that teleporter pad that says report to Officer Hooks, and I could have teleported right there instead of like spending like 3 minutes running there. But you know what? Me running through this, you get to explore Earth 3 at night. Like, if you were ever curious what Earth 3 looked like at night, and you're like, oh, that was a really cool area at night. Well, now you see it. Because I don't see any other changes, obviously, besides like the NPCs they put here. But I think it's just like copy and paste of Earth 3, but made into darkness. Which, brings me back to like, I don't really. It's a letdown again, man. I want something different. I want something like immersive environment. Like look at like Atlantis. Like, obviously they spent like a lot of time in Atlantis, and that was like the whole aspect of swimming and everything like that. But Atlantis was something like completely different. And then even Justice League Dark, they changed enough of it. Like the sky was completely different. You had that monster up there. Yeah, it wasn't like hugely different from the pocket of Gotham, but like all they seem to do here with Earth 3 was just like, copy paste code and then change to dark. like change the night. There's nothing different. See that little red kind of energy ball? That was the portal that you have to close. You have to close 144 of them for that 8-mark bounty. Well, not bounty, but the 8-mark weekly mission. So it's one of those things obviously you want to be in groups for, so you can be in a group for killing the 323 and for closing 144 of those portals. But the second talking point that I wanted to address, it came up in my previous couple of videos in terms of myself not knowing the background of the Batman Who Laughs and this Batman Metal storyline. It's, to me, this what I say next is completely my own personal opinion. It may differ, obviously, amongst all of you, but it's just from how I approach it. Like people were mentioning, like, how can you play, a game based on DC Universe Online and not know any of the comic book stories or the storylines? And I had some little conversations with some of the people in the comments as well. But essentially, with me, what got me started playing DC wasn't actually my roommate. We both kind of grew up watching like Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond. Like those shows, like Saturday morning cartoon shows. That's the nostalgia that I had. That's what I grew up watching. I didn't like watch comics at all, read comics at all. The only comics I've read were like Spawn and like Punisher War Journal. But I wasn't into them all. Just they were there and I read them. I was more like watching the TV shows. That's like I was more the cartoon watcher guy. So when a game came out based on DC Universe and had all those cartoon characters that I like to watch as a kid, I thought I'd try it out. And then that kind of just, got me into the game from there. But in terms of DC storylines, like obviously I know Darkseid, I know some of the other ones just from if they were on the shows, either on Justice League Unlimited, the story arcs or anything like that. So that's the extent of what I know. To me, content and like a storyline doesn't impact me at all. Like I even said or read someone in the comments saying like, yes, the Batman Who Laughs is a great story arc, but they changed most of it for this DLC. Like they changed the outcomes and stuff. So like even if I was like really into it, sorry to sidetrack again. These bombs go super quick. I even missed like 3 of them. So you have to disarm the traps. I try to pop like a bubble. Doesn't matter. I get knocked back and it explodes in like half a second. So you have to like, kill the ads away from the Joker trap and then go to it and to turn the cog. Because if you hesitate for like a second, even like going up to it and then like you don't turn the gear right away, it'll almost be dead. Like even then right now, I turned the cog and it was like half a bar away from exploding. So I don't know if they're going to increase the cooldown on that, but that's a real fast cog and that caught me a few times. I wasn't expecting to like, have to spam my cog as soon as I got near it. But yeah, going back to the story, to me, even if I got super into the story, that's just more of like a opening to a letdown. Like if I got super into a storyline, it's like, oh my god, DC's doing this. Like I've waited for, like say going back to the movies, like DC, like Flashpoint Paradox. I don't know if you saw that DC animated movie, but like, so if they did like a storyline on that where like Flash goes back in time, everything's changed, Wonder Woman and Aquaman are fighting in a big war. Like if you saw that movie or whatever, that comic book storyline, and like, oh my god, DC's going to do that. This is going to be so cool. They're going to do this and this and have these people fight this. And then the DLC comes out on test and you watch it or watch the previews and you're like, oh, nothing happened. They didn't do any of that. So, to me, I never got into the story. For what I focus on it in these raids and DC in the game in general is just like an immersive environment and challenging content. So like it doesn't matter what the storyline was in like the FOSS raids, like FOSS 1, 2, or 3. I wasn't like, oh my god, FOSS 3 comes out, we got the storyline completion from like the build up from FOSS 1 to FOSS 2. Like that didn't bother me at all. I was looking at, oh, this is cool, now we get to fight the bosses and have our first real raid where the whole raid is just boss fights, or the environments of FOSS 2 and like the puzzles, and not the real puzzles, but having to figure things out. Like that's what I play for. I play for like the Darkseid War Factory. Like I don't care that Darkseid is the big like bad boss, mega beams and all that in his storyline. Yeah, I know of Darkseid, but like I'm not concerned with his story arc or how it plays into DC. I was excited that the raid was challenging. It offered different boss mechanics. It offered different boss choices. So each time you ran it, it was different. Because if you focus solely on storyline or you strive for DC to have a really great storyline, once it completes, that's it. Like, it doesn't change. Like, if we do Batman Metal, you know, and Batman Metal Part 2, or even like the Amazon Fury raids, like if you complete that storyline from start to finish and end in Throne or Throne the Dead or whatever, like that story arc's done. Like, you know how it finishes. If you redo those raids, it's just the exact same story over and over again. Like, to my point, I don't even play with game sound. I just have the subtitles on. Like, I don't care about people talking. I don't care about their you know, their voice arcs. This is that clip, sorry, of that. I know I'm jumping back and forth, but where you have to see it's these closed dark multiverse rifts. So you have to tell Jordan, pick up the container, and now you have to do 144 of those rift closures. But yeah, for me, well, like the storyline doesn't change, but the raid did. So if I was doing Darkseid War Factory, I know how that story ends. Like, we defeat Darkseid, yada yada yada. But when you're doing the raid, it's different boss combinations. Same thing with Nexus. Like, I know the Nexus story arc. I know how that ended. Each time, I'm not redoing Nexus just to watch the story unfold again, and for us to, like, you know, have future Batman fight future Lex at the end, and you know that's just played out. Like, I'll skip that. Once is enough. But you know, it's the raid mechanics and the immersive raid environment that brings you back playing Nexus, because there's different artifacts at the end, different bosses, the choices at the beginning that affected the end. So, you know, all these interesting, same thing with the Paradox Wave. Like, I don't care about us fighting this Paradox monster and these realities converging and like teaming up with, like, oh my God, I get to team up with Batman and fight this Paradox monster. Like, that would never interest me in a million years. I don't care. I don't care about that story. I care about how interesting Paradox Wave was, that you can close and keep different boss combinations at the end. Each boss has like very, very punishing mechanics. You know, you can have all the bosses out at once. So it's these really unique raids that come from these stories. That's fine. If they can find some way to work in story modes or interesting storylines for the people that are interested in that, that's fine. But that's not what I'm going to focus on. Like, when I look at a DLC, I'm looking for, okay, how is this challenging? How is this like the repeat experience? So we know we have to do these raids like, you know, 40 or 50 times to complete our gear. So, you know, I want a raid that's interesting enough to do those 40 and 50 times, so I'm not getting like burnt out from it. So if we're all going to farm for the elite gear or farm for feats or whatever we do, farm for marks, you know, we've probably run Shatter Gotham, probably 30 or 40, like how many times you've run Shatter Gotham Elite or Shatter Gotham regular? Probably like 30, 40 times by now, doing all like the double weekend, every single week, all the double marks, to everything else, the feats, the OP back, the catalyst. And is Shatter Gotham interesting enough to keep your attention span each time you do it like 30 times? I wouldn't say so. So this is the top of the bridge. This is where Robin, so basically you talk to him, he gets the metallized Titan, and then basically you follow it here. I was trying to get this to a bounty kill, but I honestly, I tried for a couple days. This is why the video was delayed. I was trying to find a group to kill it. You saw at the beginning of this video, I was shouting, it's like, you know, anyone for metal bounties. No one wants to do it. So that's why I don't have footage of me actually killing it, which is one person here, and he was just trying to solo it, and he died, and I died, so. But this is the Earth 3 section. Actually, the bounty section is the Earth 3 kind of spawn point, so it's at the bottom underneath the bridge. But yeah, I know this kind of video, it kind of jumped all over the places in terms of population on the test server and me addressing the storyline concerns. So it is what it is. With me, how I approach DC and how I approach giving feedback to you guys is always going to be based on content. Is it an interesting experience? What are the marine mechanics like? Everything else. So that's what I focus on. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching.